Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we got some Nick Crowley. We got Nick Crowley and Mr. Ball, and those are the two you're getting today. We'll get right into the stuff, cause YouTube's changed this thing around and I want to get to 500 subscribers now. I got a reason to, and y'all need to do it. Hit that subscribe button, get us to 500. Get us to 500, because you can't get us to 1,000, because even if YouTube promoters us, there's not enough people who have the cojones to hit the subscribe button to get us to 1,000. So it's not, I'm not worried about that. Let's see if we can get to 500. That's the goal. But this is YouTube's Darkest Channels, Part 5. We go get right into this, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment, think down below. Let's go.
The following video is sponsored by Keeps.
What's Keeps?
High in the sky, where the sun shines all day, every day.
I heard about
The
15
site's
to
called
20 gunshots.
YouTube.com,
Again, just repeating, this is YouTube Darkest Channels 5.
and that's YOU.
I don't give up. And I do not let down.
And now, our feature presentation.
Hi everyone, this is a YouTube video that I made as a community service.
Flight. For some of us, it's a luxury, a quick and easy way from point A to point B, while for others, it's an anxiety inducer, a mortal fear even.
Terrain. Pull up.
But for 53-year-old
Yeah, I have a fear of flying. I'm gonna have to do it at some point, because if I'm gonna want to go to some places I want to go involves flying. I don't want, I will have to fly at some point, but I'm going to delay it as far as I can. I ain't gonna fly till I know, I'm ready to fly.
Zahari Ahmad Shah, flying was simply his life. His passion started at the age of just 20, when Zahari would begin studying and training to become a pilot, until eventually becoming a full-time captain years down the line. He went on to log over 18,000 hours of flight time, without receiving so much as a single blemish on his record. As a pilot, his skills and work ethic were impeccable, earning him great respect among his peers. While outside of work, he was really just a normal guy. He had a flourishing family with a wife and 3 children, as he spent most of his free time either with them or
So he seems good so far. He's got 18,000 hours of flight time. That's a long time. He's got good wife, kids, and it's going good for him so far. But you're not on this channel. It wouldn't be for a reason. So what went wrong? What went sideways that made him become part of here? What did he do even on YouTube, or what he do in general, but because he had a YouTube channel, made it weird?
fishing, cooking, and perusing social media, with one of his favorite sites being YouTube. Not only was Zahari an active user, but he would also post an occasional video or two of himself, of which very little ever stood out,
And this is how it looks like.
as at the time his channel seemed destined for obscurity. However, it wouldn't turn out this way, as in the end, it would take just a single day for his channel to become one of YouTube's darkest.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your safety, please observe the presentation of safety procedures on the screen at the front.
April 27th, 2000.
1,411 days before the incident. Jesus Christ, that is a long amount of days.
2010, Zahari's channel is launched, at first being primarily used to listen to music, as well as watching the latest viral video that the site had to offer. And it wasn't until the start of 2013 that he would begin uploading videos of his own. And when I previously mentioned that very little stood out in these videos, that may have actually been an understatement, since they all came across as almost painfully normal. His first upload was the first of a 2-part instructional video on how to save money on your air conditioning, and in it we see his wife occasionally jump in to help Zahari as he shares his tips on reducing the cost of electricity bills.
Now you need to push the blue line of the air. So she's gonna do it for 1 second.
The 2 videos were certainly informative, but visually there isn't much to unpack here, with the exception of one detail. As behind Zahari was what appeared to be a massive flight simulator right within his home.
Fix the leakage or fix any problem that is in the system.
It was a device that Zahari had put together himself and used both for fun and to hone his skills. And considering his line of work and what we know about him, this wasn't all that surprising, as he not only took his job very seriously, but he also just genuinely loved to fly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like so obviously a guy who really loves to fly and all that would have a simulator type thing in his place to work on his skills, make sure his skills get better and better and better, and he doesn't want to make any wrong move, doesn't want to think twice on things. That completely makes a lot of sense, actually.
From there, Zahari would
You don't get good at things unless you keep working and keep working and keep working. That's just the way it goes.
Would go on to publish 5 other videos following this same formula. Low-quality tutorials like how to properly seal your windows,
That you can do, and it's very effective.
and how to clean your air conditioning unit.
Lift up the bottom part.
None of which ever really had a chance of making him rich or famous, but that was never the point. As for Zahari, this channel really only served as a way to help others, going out of his way to make useful videos for those who could really benefit from them, and he did so only out of the goodness of his heart, as he received nothing in return. And to those who knew Zahari at the time, this was exactly the kind of man he was, a good and honest person, always wanting to provide others with a helping hand.
Breaking news tonight.
But that was then. And today, Zahari is viewed much, much differently, with it all going back to one day. A day in which Zahari's life, and the world itself, would forever be changed.
I will now brief you on the safety procedures to be observed on this.
March 8, 2014. This was almost just over 9 years ago. This was 9 years ago. Almost a decade ago. What happened here happened. How does a man go who was flying, who just loved flying, had such a great reputation, great family, making educational YouTube videos, how does this guy go from what thing to an incident that happened here?
March 8th, 2014. Captain Zahari clocks in for duty at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, with his first flight being a roughly 6-hour trip to Beijing International Airport. In the cockpit alongside him would be 27-year-old Farik Abdul Hamid, a first officer partaking in his final training flight before facing examination to become an official captain. Together, the pair was well-versed and well-equipped, as Zahari himself had made this trip countless times before. And by 12:42 a.m., the massive Boeing 777, its 12 crew members, and 227 passengers would take to the sky en route to yet another routine trip to Beijing. Little did the passengers know at the time, but from the moment that flight left the ground, their fate was forever sealed, as they now had a front row seat to one of the most shocking aviation events in human history.
What?
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia airline.
So the way you word that is like from the moment, none of them would have known that the moment that flight took off, their fields were set. Their fates were set. They never stood, like they could have done nothing to prevent it.
Airline's flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing. At this hour, a desperate search is underway for MH Flight 370.
That day, Malaysia Flight 370 would lose radar signal not even an hour into its course, and essentially vanish into thin air, with its final destination still being unknown to this day. And right at the very center of this mysterious event was its captain, Zahari Shah. What exactly happened on that fateful flight is and will likely always remain a mystery, but in recent years there has been at least a vague outline of events constructed that seem to point to one disturbing conclusion. At approximately 1:19 a.m., Captain Zahari would make contact with air traffic controllers as his plane was leaving Malaysian airspace and heading into Vietnamese airspace.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
Though from there, Zahari would never contact the team in Vietnam, and instead, the transponder within the plane that essentially acts as a tracking device for officials on the ground would be manually turned off just 2 minutes after Zahari's final message. With this, the plane had essentially become invisible to the world below, with the exception of a far less reliable tracker built within the plane that couldn't be manually shut down. The device works by sending out a ping with the plane's coordinates once every hour, which, when analyzed, showed investigators that rather than heading towards Beijing, the plane had instead done a complete 180 immediately following Zahari's final transmission, and was actually heading in the direction of Australia before the signal was lost for good somewhere over the Indian Ocean. This information would only grow more concerning, as in 2015, small pieces of the craft began washing ashore in various locations, some of which showing damage consistent with a plane that had struck water at high speeds. Taking all this into consideration,
So this guy went on, directed towards, pretty much went on this flight with the goal to just crash it into the ocean at high speeds. No other goal in mind but to crash that plane at high speeds and end the lives of every person, including himself, that was on that plane. Jesus Christ, that's next level evil. Like, if you don't want to live, I mean, that's always sad, but if you don't want to live, don't take other people with you. Like, let others live their life.
it does seem likely that the plane had ultimately crashed into the Indian Ocean, with the larger parts of the craft likely having sunk to the bottom around the location of that final ping.
With deep sadness that I must inform you, Flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
And with the depths in that area reaching over 3 miles deep, it's very likely that these parts may never be found. But though this seems like a logical conclusion, this theory fails to provide an explanation as to how the plane got so far off course, as no navigational or electrical failure could have ever accounted for the bizarre movement of the flight, which is where Captain Zahari comes into play. For starters, that transponder was turned off immediately after he had given that final message, which was then followed by the plane turning 180 degrees and heading in the complete opposite direction, ultimately to its demise. Both of these actions are
Could you imagine being the guy who was sat next to him? Like, you're the guy, you're supposed to be on your last training course, and you see this fucking insane guy, because he clearly was off the hinge, doing a complete 180 turn and just diving into the ocean. Like, you had no idea what the hell this guy was thinking. You couldn't have stopped it at all if you wanted to.
extremely noteworthy, as they were not only undoubtedly deliberate, but they also could have only been done from inside the cockpit, a place in which only Zahari and Farik had access to, immediately making the two pilots the primary suspects, with Zahari quickly emerging as suspect number 1. According to those close to Zahari, his mental health had seemingly been on the decline for months, and potentially even years leading up to the event, and according to his own daughter, her father had become quote-unquote unrecognizable, with others adding that he was in no mental shape to be flying. Along with this, Zahari had seemingly been having struggles with his marriage, as he had been caught on numerous occasions flirting with other women over social media, causing a rift that you would never sense by watching his videos.
And Nur Hayati here, my helper.
And on the subject of these videos, one of the most damning pieces of evidence used against Zahari had actually made an appearance in his very first upload. Upon investigators searching Zahari's home for clues, they would analyze the flight simulator seen in the background of this video, where they discovered a disturbing clue. Within the data of the flight simulator, it was found that Zahari had charted a course and practiced flying a route that matched nearly identically to the one Flight 370 was said to have taken that fateful day. And given just how obscure that route was, investigators believed that this couldn't have been a coincidence. As to make matters even stranger, Zahari had actually tried to scrub the data from the device just 1 month before that fateful flight.
Some data has been deleted from the simulator, and forensic work to retrieve this data.
Yeah, so this guy literally planned to end his life via flight crashing into the water. But for some reason felt he needed to drag everyone down with it.
Data is ongoing.
Taking all of this into consideration, the narrative was quickly formed that Captain Zahari had premeditated this entire disaster as some sort of murder-suicide mission, with this now becoming the most widely believed and currently most likely theory to explain the mystery of Flight 370. Though it is important to remember that this is just that, a theory, and it is in no way a concrete conclusion. However, if this were to be true, that would make Zahari Ahmad Shah the most prolific killer in YouTube's history, by a huge margin, as he would have been responsible for the deaths of over 238 people, with his channel potentially featuring the very device that this whole event was plotted on.
Thank you for your attention. Do enjoy our golden service.
Do you want to hear something truly horrifying? 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the age of just 35. But thankfully, today's sponsor Keeps is here to help. Keeps is a clinically proven and research-backed treatment that not only stops hair loss, but also improves hair growth. And the best part is you don't even need to leave your home.
That just seems wrong. I'm sorry. If you losing hair, you doing any little thing that make it so you get more hair just seems a little off to me. Holy shit, look at the price of this thing. Get 3 months for 70. 3 months for this thing is 50. 3 months for this thing is 20. God damn.
Home to receive it.
But then, like, if you minus the deal, 30, 75, 105.
As all of Keep's subscription plans come doctor recommended and delivered straight to your door, while being roughly half the cost of treatments from the pharmacy. Keep's is backed by a network of expert medical advisors, prescribers, and care specialists who offer 24/7 care and support to assure that your hair goals become a reality. I personally know a few people who have used Keep's, and all of them swear by it, as the results have honestly been pretty amazing. Hair loss stops with Keep's, and to get 50% off your first order, head over to keeps.com/Crowley or click the link in the description. That's keeps.com/Crowley.
All about America. America.
Is it America? I thought
It's
this
a
was
pretty
America.
amazing place.
October 2nd, 2010. A bizarre 7-minute video.
We've seen this guy. We just saw this guy. He was on the top 10 most evil YouTubers one. We just saw the guy. We know literally all about this guy. My man, we gonna find, we know everything about this guy.
Titled, "America, Your Last Memory in a Terrorist Country," is posted to YouTube depicting a masked man in a robe setting fire to the American flag. The video is accompanied by a rambling description stating, "I want you to imagine a comet or meteoroid coming through the atmosphere. On the other hand, welcome yourself to the desert. Maybe your ability to protest is from the brainwashing of the current government structure." This incoherent writing and strange video would be the only content featured on a channel called Star Hitchnaz, but it would be far from the only upload that its creator would make to the platform in general. The man's real name is Jared Lautner, and over the course of 2010, he would use—
We just found out about him yesterday. Literally just found out about him yesterday, so this is gonna... Nick Crowley probably ain't gonna tell us anything different, but the channel does deserve to be on here without a doubt.
Use YouTube as a way of critiquing society in the United States, with most, if not all of his videos coming across as extremely disjointed and showing clear indications that Jared himself was completely delusional. However, he wasn't always this way, as growing up, he lived a fairly normal life in Tucson, Arizona, becoming a decent student and even a talented musician. And it wasn't until high school that things would really take a turn for the worst, when his then girlfriend, a young lady named Kelsey Hawkins, would unexpectedly end their relationship. Something that Jared would never recover from, as immediately following this, he would fall into a deep depression before eventually turning to drugs and alcohol to cope. With this, his once kind and caring personality would become bitter and defiant as he began lashing out against his teachers and bosses, something that first led to Jared losing his job at Quiznos and his position at a local animal shelter, with this trend continuing on into 2006, when Jared would leave high school and never return, instead becoming a social recluse within his parents' home. There, Jared's only interaction with the outside world would come in the form of conspiracy forums and blogs, as Jared not only became more and more detached from the world around him, but he also became more and more angry at it as well, with a specific hatred developing for the government, an idea that was only amplified on the date of August 25th, 2007.
And today, a chance to bring those kinds of concerns straight to Representative Gabrielle Giffords as she brought Congress to the corner of Grant and Craycroft.
That day, Jared would attend an event in the Tucson area held by the then Arizona Senator Gabrielle Giffords, where local citizens could ask questions or raise concerns directly to the senator herself. And on that day, Jared would be given a chance to speak briefly.
That's the thing that's interesting, is like that concept's a great idea. No one politician will do that. No one. That's a great idea. You have actual citizens come over into a place of view, and they get to ask you questions, express concerns, and you answer them up. It's a great concept. Most politicians don't do it, because most politicians couldn't actually give a rat's load of fuck what people are concerned about. They couldn't care less. But good thought process.
With her, which he'd take advantage of by asking the question, what is government if words have no meaning? It's unknown exactly how Senator Giffords responded to this, but according to Jared, he felt as though she had brushed aside his question and essentially ignored.
Because it's a stupid question. You clearly, there's no actual question. So you know what? She should have thought that way. She should have brushed off your question. You didn't ask a fucking question. You said a bunch of nonsense.
It all together by moving right on to the next person, clearly not taking Jared seriously, which was said to have infuriated him, as his hatred for the government that had been brewing for some time had become even more justified in his mind. And things were about to get much worse, as after the event, Jared would receive a letter from Senator Giffords' team thanking him for attending the function, only to have his last name misspelled on the document. For Jared, the whole ordeal with this senator was too much for him to bear, as he—
That's the set-off point, really? That's the set-off? Of all things, he's like, listen, let's go bust him a question, and you know, I'm gonna try to keep it together. Got a letter. It's like, hey, thank you for coming. Last name spelling. He's like, that's it. That's it. It's time to go kill people. That's it. Listen, I gave them all a chance. I gave them all a chance, but I couldn't do it. You know, they misspelled my last name. They put an A instead of an E. That's it. It's too far.
He believed that the government was run by incompetent and illiterate people who were—
I'm not gonna be that guy, but somewhat is full of dumb. It somewhat is.
Were nowhere near his intelligence level, with the misspelled name becoming a fixation of his, as he
I mean, it is funny that they misspelled his name.
slowly began to believe that he was the only literate person left throughout the world, with this going on to inspire the content he'd create here on YouTube. The video created by Jared showing him burning an American flag features a pretty self-explanatory message on how he felt about America as a whole, but this clip was far from his most scathing upload, with that having come just a few weeks prior.
I'm in a terrible place. This is my genocide school.
At the time, Jared had been attending Pima Community College, a school featuring a program designed to help high school dropouts get their lives back on track, and eventually actually obtain a college degree, which in theory sounded like a great thing for Jared, though in reality, its results only proved to sink him further. During his time at Pima, police would be called to his classes on 5 separate occasions when Jared would protest, argue with, and defy his teachers, as he had major problems with any and all authority figures in his life. After all, he believed that he was by far the most intelligent person on the planet, and feeling wronged and frustrated with his schooling, his feelings would all spill out in one video posted to a now deleted channel, showing Jared behind the camera touring his campus.
This is Pima Community College.
I always get to actually see this video. It was copyrighted on Savoxes.
The students are so illiterate that it affects their daily lives. They're controlling the grammar. They control the grammar. How's it going? Thanks for the B. I'm pissed off. What's that? I lost my freedom of speech.
You just say thanks for the video, I'm pissed off? You know what the hell you're mad at that random dude for?
That guy, all the teachers that you have are being paid illegally and have a legal authority over the Constitution of the United States under the First Amendment.
You can clearly hear the unhingedness in him. You can tell he's unhinged, you can just tell.
It's not hard to understand the concern behind this video, as Jared was clearly mentally ill at the time.
If the student is unable to locate the external universe, then the student is unable to locate the internal universe. Where is all my subjects? I could say something sound right now, but I don't feel like it.
And filled with so much obvious anger that could be heard seeping out of his voice. And given that no one really knew what he was capable of doing, the video would quickly be sent to school administrators, who immediately perceived it to be a threat. This led to Jared's instant removal.
I'm surprised this got any attention enough for people to even, like, see it. I'm surprised this got enough attention to the point that people are just like, hey, you guys need to look at this guy. This guy, look, he's apparently goes here and he's apparently on the verge, like, we think he's on the verge of some sort of mental breakdown and going to, just, like, do something fucking insane. You gotta get rid of him. And they're like, yeah, we agree with you on that. He clearly a threat to people. We're gonna get rid of his ass.
From the school, with the option being given for him to return again if he were to receive psychiatric help.
This school is actually smartest people I've ever heard. They were just like, listen, you're not all there. We'll let you come back. If you get some psychiatric help, because you need some help. But until you get that help, you ain't going back into the school.
This, however, never happened, and instead, Jared would only isolate himself even further, with his internal rage reaching an all-time high.
This guy just looks unhinged, bro. This guy looks like he's not even all there.
And his delusions as well, all of which would be documented on his final channel called Class It Up 10. The videos here are some of the most bizarre that you'll ever see, as they feature only text writings from Jared, who discusses his problems with society, as well as his ways to fix it. In his first upload, he tells his audience that he was creating a new currency, a new letter to be added to the alphabet, and even a new number, which he believed would reject the government's authority and give him some control of the currency, the numbers, and the language of society. And his postings wouldn't stop there. He wrote about how he believed he could control every belief and every religion by being a quote-unquote mind controller.
Mind controller. He can control everyone with his currency and his squiggly letter and squiggly alphabet. Squiggly number. He's a mind. He's controlling your mind. And you gotta stop the government. All you gotta do is buy my cryptocurrency. You know damn well those guys would have just been all up in cryptocurrency back in the day. You all know he would have been.
Of which he offered no other context for. By this point, his words were almost impossible to fully understand, leading to his final video in which he stated, "My ambition is for informing illiterate dreamers about a new currency. In a few days, you'll know I'm concise dreaming. Thank you." These were the final words written to the Class It Up 10 YouTube channel, and the final trace of Jared left behind on YouTube, as in his mind, he was now in control of society, and all that was left to do was show the world.
In a democracy, people have the power, and in America, that means you.
In the early morning hours of January 8th, 2011, Jared checked into a motel room where he would post a photo to his MySpace page of a gun on top of a US textbook, along with a series of other lewd photographs of him in women's underwear, featuring the message, "Dear friends, please don't be mad at me. The literacy rate is below 5%. I haven't talked to one person who is literate." After this, Jared would go on to attend another political event happening within the parking lot of a nearby Safeway store, with this event being that same one that he had went to years before, with it being hosted by none other than Senator Gabby Giffords, the villain in his story, and soon to be the main target of his rage. It happened in just 15.
Mick Crowley has given us a lot more information than we had before. However, this guy is clearly just an unhinged, crazy-looking bastard. That's all he is. He was never fully there.
15 seconds. As the senator was meeting citizens one by one, Jared would promptly cut the line, pull out his pistol, and open fire at point-blank range. His first shot would strike Gabby Giffords directly in the forehead, before he turned the gun on the crowd of innocent bystanders and fired at random. In total, 13 people would be struck, before Jared was tackled to the ground and restrained, and of those victims, tragically, 6 would lose their lives, quite literally in the matter of a few seconds, a short yet devastating rampage. But
one of them was a 9-year-old, if I'm correct. I don't know if they died, the 9-year-old died, but I remember one of the 9-year-old, I think a 9-year-old was struck by his gun.
Shockingly, Gabby Giffords would not be one of these 6 victims to lose their lives, as despite being shot directly through the head, she would eventually go on to survive the ordeal and has since gone on to make an incredible recovery. Jared's multiple channels remain live and now sit dormant, in a state that will likely never be changed, as he is destined to live out the remainder of his life in prison, with those final videos serving as
Look at this guy. This is a fucking crazy psychopathic not-all-fair bastard right here. I'll do this is
a brief glimpse into the mind of one of the most disturbed killers in the United States' recent history. A troubled man who, much like our next YouTuber, had their final thoughts and final delusions captured right here on YouTube. Only in the case of the Indigo Mystic, her disturbing conclusion would play out right on her channel for the whole world to see.
had always been the perfect mother, but you'll have a hard time keeping this mother down.
Hello, everybody. It's the Indigo Mystic. Toodaloo.
Her name is Jessica Worsham, a 43-year-old mother of two living in Houston, Georgia. From an early age, Jessica viewed herself as different from most others in the world, believing that she possessed psychic abilities that not many could comprehend.
Oh yeah, you already know you're off to a bad start there. You all know you're off to a bad start once you're the person behind it believed at an early age they had psychedelic powers and all that shit. You know you're off to a dark ass, fucked up ending to this story because this girl was clearly delusional as all hell.
Which was ultimately the inspiration behind her YouTube channel, The Indigo Mystic, a page that aimed to open a dialogue with others like her. And from its inception back in April of 2013, her content was apparently very light-hearted, and for the most part, almost entirely positive. A trend that has long since ended. For years, Jessica had been living as an unemployed single mother with her two children, and given her lack of income, she struggled to find permanent residency for her family. Or at least that was, until the year 2019, when family friends would allow them to live rent-free in a home they were 2019, when family friends would allow
Details of the specific situation are a bit shaky and may be biased. Okay.
them to live rent-free in a home they were selling. They allowed Jessica and the kids to stay in the vacant home until someone would buy the property, which ultimately would wind up taking nearly 3 whole years, meaning that all that time, Jessica and her children were able to live there without paying a single dime. The situation really should have been a dream come true for Jessica. Yet, when those 3 years were up, her reaction was far from grateful, as she immediately fought the decision to remove her from the home and refused to leave the premises, eventually going so far as to take these generous friends all the way to court, where unsurprisingly she would lose the case, and
She never stood a chance in the case. Literally never stood a chance in that case. I can understand her frustration with the situation. She's being told, hey, listen, someone bought the house, you gotta go. She's like, well, where the fuck do we go? Like, we haven't paid a dime here. We don't know what, I didn't plan this part. But you should have planned this part because you knew at some point you would have to leave the house. Like, you knew that was the case.
subsequently be forced to leave the home. This situation was said to be the ultimate tipping point for Jessica's mental health, as she believed that this was all an elaborate plot against her to ruin her life, blaming the courts and the judge specifically for making her homeless.
You used to be a good person, didn't you, Benji? You did. You used to actually have the desire for justice. God knows about you. That's why you're scared. And you know who I am, don't you? All your little friends and buddies know exactly who I am and what I'm about. Well, since this is just for Benjamin Green, kiss my ass.
I don't think Benjamin Green gives up about you anymore. Your ass is clearly gone off the rails.
Following this, the Indigo Mystic channel would no longer be a hub for positivity or spirituality, as Jessica would instead delete all of the channel's content, and in turn, she began obsessively uploading about the people who she believed had wronged her.
Benjamin Green.
So, you want to attack me, huh? That's fine. Just get ready. And when I said karma was coming for you, I meant it.
And from that moment on, Jessica's
Well, I also believe this is little delusion. She is seeing things that like has nothing to do with her, probably, that this person or these people are posting and doing, and they're like, oh, there's an attack on me. She tries to like turn things into about her. That's what I feel has happened, because there's people I've seen do this, where they'll make something out that's nothing to do with them, but they'll make it about them. Because that's the way they have to, like, to fill their delusions. This is a thing I've actually seen.
videos would only grow more and more scathing, as little did she know, but there was yet another court battle looming in the distance. Following the initial court's ruling, Jessica and her children would begin couch surfing from place to place, living in a constant state of packing and moving. as due to the stress of the situation and her declining mental health, Jessica would begin picking fights and blowing up on those who were kind enough to take them in for free, something that would be documented on numerous occasions across the Indigo Mystic channel.
You don't want none of me, I promise. Oh yeah, I do. Fantastic! That's what woman, what am I doing? Get the fuck out of my face! She hit me first. Stop it. Get the fuck out of here. I'm just trying to get scared.
But of these combative instances, what stood out the most was just how involved the children were, as at that time she had trained them to record all of her arguments so that she can then upload them to YouTube and act as if she were the victim. But
that is pathetic. That is pathetically sad. She was ahead of her time. This woman's ahead of her time here. This is a woman who's doing what she did. She's way ahead of what she's doing. She's way ahead of her time here. She learned out what everyone else now does today. Where everyone films themselves in an argument with someone and then makes it so they're the victim. Even if they started the argument, they're the victims now. There's today's day and age. This girl was ahead of her time.
But in reality, it's not hard to see that the real victims were the children themselves.
Yep.
I mean, the pain in their voice and the fear they clearly had, knowing that they were being kicked out of yet another home, is heartbreaking, with this truly being how these kids lived on a daily basis, and others were starting to take notice. Seeing how the children were being treated and what they were living through, their biological father, a man named Sean, would attempt to gain custody to
the smartest man in the fucking building. The smartest man. I was sitting there hoping. I was like, please tell me there's someone who's trying to protect these kids. Thankfully, Sean, my man, my guy, the biological father's like, okay, look, I'm taking these fucking kids from you. I need to get custody of these kids. You'll go from house to house. You're getting them kicked out of places because your ass is losing your mind. I need to get custody of these kids. You clearly aren't fit to do to raise these kids. Which she isn't. Like, she's not. No.
Provide the children with a stable living environment, as he, along with many others, believed that Jessica wasn't fit to be caring for children at the time. This wasn't only due to the instability of her housing and her seemingly aggressive behavior, but Jessica herself had clearly become mentally unwell at best, and at worst, she had become completely delusional, as she would begin posting videos claiming that she was being gang-stalked.
All the stalking, all the gang stalking by my family and by these certain police factions needs to stop. I'm aware of you, honey. Don't you see me packing every time I go outside? And the more you come for me, the worse it's gonna be for you.
Along with this, she would also
that's a mental health thing that's just insane. There was only one case of gang stalking, I believe. I don't remember what his name is, but it was a guy who was filming like police cameras and all that. Police officers are sitting outside his property, and then it just happened to be that the guy ended up dead. You all know who I'm talking about. You'll post in the comments. You'll help me. But you know what I'm talking about. But like, that's the only case of gang stalking, I believe. Everyone else, I think, is just a delusions. Unfortunately, making them believe like everyone's out to get them.
Claimed to have put hexes on the judges.
You're in regret, right? Scared? Can't sleep at night? Up all night? Maybe having ulcers? Yeah. That's right. If you only knew who I was. Hope those dreams are making you feel good. You're gonna regret ever getting yourself involved.
And her delusions would only get more and more bizarre, as at one point she even called out the judges for attempting to telepathically communicate with her, even accusing them of performing child sacrifices behind closed doors.
I know you.
Where does she even come up with this stuff? Where does she come up with this stuff? She's just like, this is an again where someone just has to come up with shit. She's just like, they're fucking doing, they're trying to take children away. The demons, they're doing children sacrifices. That has to be the case. There's children who go into the courtroom and then leave different people that have to be sacrificed to do it. Well, the children enter the courtroom and then by the time I come from the store and come back in, they're not there. They clearly were sacrificed. That had to be what happened there.
watching me, and I know you're scared, and you should be. Dingledorf, he's too scared. He's too scared to even try to communicate with me telepathically, but you're scared, aren't you, Benji? What about the children? And you know what I mean. Those that you've sacrificed for your glory. Because it's really hilarious, and it's going to be even more hilarious when my plan falls into place.
By this point,
this father got thing, because I'm concerned that the children are going to end up the ones punished out of this by her delusions, and I'm scared for these children's safety.
Jessica was completely detached from reality, and it seemed clear that she was neglecting the needs of her children, which would all come to a head on September 14th, 2021. That day, Jessica had been summoned into court for a hearing to determine the custody of her 2 children, something that she would discuss briefly in a video posted just hours before her arrival.
I'm actually going to court today against some people that are trying to take my children from me. The same people that took my home from me. the Jackson County court system. I really do feel more sorry for them and what's going to happen to them than me and my children, because my children aren't going anywhere. Anyway, if you don't see a video pop up in the next couple days, I probably got arrested, because I'm not going to back down.
And upon arriving at court that day, Jessica would have her children film yet another one of her arguments, as she would refuse to enter the courtroom.
My name is the Indigo Mystic. I'm sorry, Jessica Worsham. You guys.
Wait, what means you refused to enter the course? What you think, I just showed up so I'm good? Alright, I entered your building, now I can take my children and leave, because clearly you're going to be on my side, so I can just leave now. I showed up, right? So now I win. Most unnecessary argument.
You guys have already taken our home from us, and you denied us help when we were being attacked several times. They refused to go inside. So if you could just relay that information for me, I would greatly appreciate it. We stand in solidarity as sovereign individuals.
These children are probably hoping you lose. I have a feeling these children want you to lose, because these children are just like, I want to live somewhere. So at least if Dad wins, we can go live with him, and we're not just going building with her crazy ass. Like, the children probably want you to lose.
And we're not going to tolerate
That's why you don't want to enter.
I don't know where the justice in the...
That's why you don't want to enter. The children, because the kids like, who do you want to go with? I'm like, we don't want to get, we want to be with Dad. This girl's, like, our mom's crazy. Our mom's got them lost her mind. Like,
this world went in this country, but it is not here, fellas and ladies. Not here. I'm not going to have my children taken from me.
The situation ultimately only proved to the judge just how bad things were in Jessica's mind, as the hearing would ultimately take place without her present, thus resulting in Jessica losing custody of her children, though only temporarily.
Vaughn is also partially brilliant. Children, hey, listen, you didn't show up to court. We did the hearing. You didn't show up. You lost. Because of your own stupid ass. I don't know how she only temporarily lost custody, though. Should have fully lost custody. Permanently.
As it was explained that once Jessica had found permanent residency and got help for her mental health issues, then she would be allowed to have her children back, and that this was only being done to keep the children safe. Though Jessica didn't see it this way, and under no circumstances would she be willing to give up her children, as she instead decided to take matters into her own hands. And immediately following the court's decision, Jessica Worsham and her 2 children would disappear.
Oh no. This is my fear. The children are gonna end up the victims of something of her delusions. Oh no, I hope nothing happens to these children.
Well, not totally. Jessica did defy the court's decision, as she would take her children and go on the run, refusing to give them up. But even though most would assume that she would lay low for a while to avoid detection, in reality, Jessica would do just about the exact opposite, as she began posting more and more videos to her channel, this time outright threatening the judges whom she blamed this whole situation on, and daring them to take her children away from her.
They're mine. Mine, 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 M-I-N-E, mine. And I'll do anything, including lay my life down for them. And if you come after me, I'm just telling you right now, it ain't gonna go down pretty. No kinds of pretty is gonna come out of anything. And that's not a threat, that's a promise.
And her hatred wasn't just amplified towards the court officials, as she would also launch a whole new tirade against Sean, the father of her children.
You'll never have our love again. You'll never, ever see them again. They hate you.
With Jessica...
Well, hold on, so he'll never see, no, he's gonna see them again. Unless you do something horrible, which I'm hoping you please don't. They're gonna see him again. I thought I want your love again. I wouldn't want anyone else. I don't think that you would ever find another boyfriend or husband or anything. Because ain't no one gonna deal with your crazy ass. Your ass is going off the goddamn hinges. No one's gonna want to be around your damn ass.
Sinking to lower and lower depths to get back at him, with one of the most disturbing examples being when she had her children call him and tell them just how much they hated him and never wanted to see him again.
Isabella, do you want to...
Oh, that's just wrong. That's just wrong, because we all know they don't actually believe that. But you're forcing them to say, that's just wrong. Oh, that makes me so mad. Don't ever use your kids for your own little delusions.
Do you want to be with Sean?
No.
Do you love him?
No.
Well, how do you feel about him?
I'm disgusted.
Hi, Sean. My daughter's trying to talk.
Sean knows this is bullshit. Sean knows this is bullshit. Sean knows what's going on. He knows what's going on here. He probably feels bad for the kids.
How do you feel about him?
I think you're disgusting, and that's my opinion. That's my opinion and not hers, so... I mean, seriously, though.
Oh, man. Oh. These poor kids. Because I know that's not their opinion. You know it. It's just being coached. But coaching your kids to hate someone. This is a thing that mothers actually do. This is what's saying. There are mothers who will coach their kids. Just hate their fathers. Because they're not around and they're not with them. This is an actual thing that parents do way more than you actually will think.
We're disgusted. We hate you.
This is what you've done to your family.
We really hate you, so why don't you just shut the hell up?
The whole time her children are talking, Jessica continues egging them on to say worse and worse things. And though obviously I can't speak on their relationship with their father, this is still an incredibly toxic and traumatic thing to have your children do. And things were just getting started on the Indigo Mystic channel, as she had started to mention the fact that she had owned a gun, in which she nicknamed Betty.
I was in there buying some ammo, some critical defense bullets for Betty. You know, because we gotta treat her right, you know.
Which would eventually lead to this clip.
Just for any of y'all that might want to get wild, you know. This is Betty. Alright? Get a good look. Any of y'all that think y'all might want to come at me, I got something waiting for you.
Things were clearly escalating, and were undoubtedly soon to reach their breaking points, which leads us to November 3rd, 2021, when two of the most chaotic, bizarre, and disturbing videos I have ever seen were posted to the Indigo Mystic channel.
Okay. People are psycho. Okay, this is gonna be interesting.
I'll get you away from that. Stop! Maya, get your phone! Get your phone!
Hold your phone on their faces. I am. On their faces.
You need to get out of this house. You need to get out of this house. You want me to call the cops and get you out of this house?
At this time, Jessica had yet again been living with another family, and that night, two members of that family had gotten into a verbal and physical dispute, leading to an older gentleman being pushed on the ground. But as the family was fighting, Jessica decided to interject, only escalating the situation even more, as she began screaming at the family before they all lost their patience and demanded she leave the house, with the younger man going as far as to call the police. And in a panic, the children ran upstairs in fear that they had yet again lost another home. Meanwhile, Jessica had remained downstairs as she continued to argue with the family as they waited for the cops to arrive. And when they did, Jessica would be standing at the door to greet them, with Betty in her hand. Noticing the commotion, the children would do as they were trained and grab the camera.
Am I about to see someone get shot? Please tell me I'm not about to watch someone get shot.
The children record just out of view as Jessica suddenly begins firing, leading to an all-out shootout with over a dozen shots ringing out, each of which being painfully captured as her children record helplessly, with the remainder of the video showing their reaction, which is just too upsetting for me to show. When it was all said and done, Jessica had fatally wounded 49-year-old Deputy Lena Marshall, a mother of 3 who tragically passed on the 18th anniversary of the death of her own son.
No! No! So that she wounded this young girl, and she passed away on the 18th anniversary of the death of her own son. Oh my God, that is painful. That is insanely painful. God, that just broke my heart there.
While on the other side, Jessica Worsham laid dead in the doorway.
Jessica saw police, thought they would come probably take the kids and just open fire, and they just took her out. I don't want to say I'm thankful that she did, but at least the kids are going to be safe now. Now that she's out of the picture, but like, it didn't all have to go down that way.
Since the fatal incident, the Indigo Mystic channel still remains live, though as a shell of itself, as all of its uploads have now been wiped from the site, almost as if nothing ever happened. When in reality, this channel had perhaps one of the most disturbing life cycles ever seen on YouTube, with its final video being one of the darkest to ever be uploaded, as right after the shooting, and before they even knew the fate of their mother, the children would post the video with the misspelled title reading, "My mom is dead, I think," before days later, the whole channel would be wiped. I want to give a huge shout out to
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see y'all for the next one.